Hey, it's Kevin Bordeaux here. I'm of Thrive Church in Richmond, Virginia, and one of the HGM consultants. I'm so glad to be able to serve you today via video, helping you understand how do you engage people in serving in your church. I've never met a pastor that wouldn't say, I would love to see our finances increase, and I would love to see more people serving, because that's something we all need. Matter of fact, most statistics on the rule of thumb will show you that 20% of the people do 80% of the work. Right? So you have a lot of people in your congregation who are probably spectators, not participators. And that can be a real frustration. You're wondering, why aren't they getting involved? And why aren't they doing this? And why aren't they serving? And one of the major reasons I want to help you with this is because we don't have a plan for it. I want to help you understand, how do you have a plan to get people engaged in serving? Well, number one, it's got to be a culture of serving. You've got to have a culture of it, meaning that you've got to be able to model it as a leader. So you need to model serving. You need to preach about serving. Once a year, you should have a serving series. And you should have once a year during that series a chance for people to sign up to serve, an opportunity, cast vision for each ministry, your kids, your worship, and your connections. Cast vision. Have a cool video about somebody who stepped up to serve. Preach on it. Model it. Create a culture of serving in your church where if you don't serve, it's kind of odd, right? The second thing you've got to do is you've got to learn to corral people, right? Corral them. And what I mean by that is there are people that are at your church that would love to serve, but they don't know what they need to do. And so you need to have on-ramps to help them serve, especially new people. There are people in your church who will never serve. You can preach on it till you're blue in the face. They're not going to do it. Many different reasons. But the new people coming in, that's who you want to focus on. So each month, when you have your monthly gathering for new guests to cast vision, share your values, and to give them a tour of the church and do all that, at that time, you want to give them a serve card. So if you were interested in serving, where would you like to serve at our church? Have on-ramps to corral them in. Have the culture of it where you're teaching it. You're modeling it. Pastor, don't be in the back eating grapes, praying before church. Model that you're going to serve at some place in the church. I serve at our host tent, and I help host families at our church. And so model that for them. Early days of Thrive, I actually served in the parking lot and on the worship team and preached all in one Sunday because I wanted to create a culture of people who serve at our church. And then the last thing you want to do is you want to be able to keep those serving who are serving. So you're going to have a culture. You're going to corral people and connect them into serving. And then the final thing you're going to do is keep them serving. What do? That means you got to celebrate them. And so twice a year, you should have a volunteer celebration party at your church where maybe summertime it's fun, there's bounce houses, things to do. And in the wintertime, we had like this guy who did a science show and we all had, had food and things like that. And it's just a chance to say thank you to your volunteers and tell them that. And then that's on a micro level in the large room. But in the small room, what you need to do is also, I know at our staff meetings, and you can do this as a pastor, you have your team do it if you don't have a paid staff, is write thank you cards once a month to keep people serving in your church. Write it for that. And then if you want to keep people, make sure that you care about them serving. Make sure your kids department people aren't locked in a back room somewhere and they're struggling and you just kind of let it go because you don't want to deal with it. Make sure you're helping them solve problems. Make sure they get time off. Get creative with that. Care for them and you'll keep them. But remember this, the reason serving is so important, you can't disciple people who aren't engaged in community at your church. And serving is the highest level of engagement because they move from being a spectator to a participator. They move from being a consumer to a co-laborer in Christ. So I hope this helps you out this month.